Hello and welcome back to the PompeyCast, episode 6 today, 7th week of lockdown. Today we'll be talking about everything that's happened throughout the week. Solomon Kalou, we've got more news on Real FC, we've got news about Yannick Kamba, you may know that name. We've got another news about German football coming, something about Macclesfield. We've got more news from the Prem, more news from the EFL, League 2 clubs, something they've done. And something to do with transfer news for Pompey. And obviously, once again, I'm joined by my dad. How are you today?
Not too bad, you alright?
Yeah, I'm okay. Obviously, it's tough being stuck inside all day, but we're keeping ourselves busy. We'll start off this week's podcast with Solomon Kalou and what he did this week. He filmed himself shaking hands with members of Hertha Berlin's staff and team after they were all tested negative for coronavirus when they were told not to interact with each other. What do you think of that?
Well, he's just been a prat, isn't he, really? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs of the story, but I think he's been suspended from the football club.
Yeah.
Obviously, because he's been an idiot. So it's not a great advert for him as a person or the club. But we've had other people in this country make not the sort of mistakes. A couple of players, Grealish and Carl Walker, to name a couple, but it's not the greatest advert for him as a professional or as a football player.
Yeah. Well, Hertha Berlin did say that it comes completely out of line with what they believe in. That's why they suspended him with immediate effect. It also doesn't bode well for the restart of German football if the players are going to be doing this. It could have had a completely negative effect on what's going on at the minute. They could have Angela Merkel could have gone, no, we're not playing anymore. But luckily she didn't, and that's when we got into the next thing about German football. They had the meeting, and they said 15th or the 22nd, supposedly, that the football will be resuming. Are we going to be watching that, are we, or what do you think of that?
I think we are going to be watching it for definite, because it's the only football to watch.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to make comparisons between countries and how they have handled this whole pandemic in general. But obviously, Germany's had a lot fewer deaths than the UK.
Yeah.
Seems to have controlled it better. Hence why they're allowing the Bundesliga to resume behind closed doors, which actually has been ratified today by the. So, as Blake, I don't know if you're going to go on about this later
go
on.
It doesn't matter.
But they've got a fixture list even
supposedly. We're not 100% sure that this is correct. But we've read
things that there might be a fixture list coming out, so that not this weekend, but the following weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, there will be Bundesliga games. But once again, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Whether that preludes things to the English game, where we could have football played again behind closed doors in this country, we'll have to wait and see. But we might talk about that later on.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet, but. The other thing is, I think the smart thing they've done is obviously behind closed doors. But I don't know if you've heard about this, but a team, you've definitely heard of them, Borussia Mönchengladbach, who I think third are in the Bundesliga at the minute, have been selling or advertising cardboard prints of yourself to put in the stadium. So they can, obviously they're not allowed people in there, but the people can still feel like they're part of the football club, match their experience.
Yeah.
So they're still there in obviously cardboard form, so it's a picture of them printed out at the stadium.
Form, yeah.
Well, what do you think of that idea that Mönchengladbach come up with?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea, obviously.
Making money.
Yeah, but I think everybody, doesn't matter what country you come from, it's not ideal circumstances. You're going to be playing behind closed doors, but obviously, hopefully people can still watch the matches whenever they do. Obviously, people's health's more important than watching football games, but in terms of giving certain countries morale boost, I think watching football is a good thing. Whether it's behind closed doors, as long as everyone's safe, tested, I think it'll be a good thing going forward. Germany, obviously they're allowed to start it first. I think for them it'll be a good thing for people's spirits in general, and morale. But we'll have to see going forward what will happen with the English game.
Keep people entertained as well.
Yeah,
now, I was speaking to a real fan earlier in the week, obviously after they've gone bust. They've been wound up. And they obviously we were speaking about last week how they'd created a new club. They were going to start over.
Yeah.
And I had some news this week that they were voting on a club name, and they had 3 names. I can't remember what all 3 of them were, but I thought I'd just let you know that the name is going to be Real FC. So before I don't know what the name was, but now it's Real FC. So good name for the club. Not a lot we could talk about a name, but happy for them to have their club back.
Yeah, of course,
in
definitely.
a way.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, good luck to you in the future. Anyway, now we'll get onto the kind of funny / shocking news of the week with Yannick Camber, who was reported dead in a car crash in 2016. Who was a football player.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, but he played in Germany. 2016, he was reported dead. He has come back in the last few weeks and has come back. He's alive. He's doing well, but
Jesus.
he was reported dead because he had travelled. He'd obviously been in a car accident and fled to Africa with no documents, no anything.
Unbelievable.
And his wife, I don't know what's happened because I don't think anyone does.
Was he Jesus?
No, he wasn't Jesus.
Hmm.
Right. But yeah, his wife had obviously faked his death, and now he's in court for his own murder. He's now a witness for his own death. What do you think of that?
It's crackers. Completely crazy.
Mental, isn't it?
I don't know what to say to that. Yeah.
It's a funny news of the week anyway.
That's the funny news of the week. I don't know how you find these things out. But
I don't know how I found that out.
But,
I was just scrolling through Instagram.
Yeah, well, he's obviously going to spend a long time in prison.
Well, he might not. His wife will though.
Oh,
it depends. No one knows what's going on.
No.
He probably ran away and then couldn't get back because his wife called it he was dead.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
But if we find out any more on that, we'll be sure to let you know in either next week's or the week after's podcast. And right,
that's a good one. That was.
Yeah, it was. We're jumping on to the EFL now.
Yeah.
With the news that broke today with Macclesfield, they have been deducted 7 points.
Yeah.
At a time when obviously you need to punish teams for not fulfilling fixtures, which they didn't against Plymouth, and for not paying wages, which they didn't in February. However, I think now is the worst possible time they could have taken action. The EFL has obviously been criticised many times in the past, and today to come out and just say, yeah, we're taking away 7 points off them, rather than waiting until we know what's actually going to happen with football. No one knows what's going on at the minute, and the fans are obviously missing their club, missing everything, hoping that something's going to go on that's going to be good for them. The club haven't got a lot of money anyway at the minute, and they've now gone, yeah, by the way, we're giving you a 7 point deduction.
Yeah, I think they probably... Well, they basically, this has happened. They were already deducted points earlier on in the season for financial irregularities.
Around Sol Campbell, no surprises there.
But I don't know the ins and outs, so I don't want to comment too much on this.
We don't want to speculate too much.
They've been deducted 7 points this time because they didn't fulfil a fixture against Plymouth.
And it was also because of financial again.
Yeah, but it's all to do with stuff not playing players and stuff like that. I'm sure the PFA have got involved as well. But the actual why this has happened is because they didn't fulfil a fixture with Plymouth. I think it was the end of last year.
I think it was December, yeah.
Yeah, I think they were given a ban then, but it was sort of like put on hold or appeal or whatever, and this is what's transpired now. So they said, in terms of their league position, they've only dropped one place.
But
so they're 23rd now.
Yeah, but you have to look at it at a time like they may have only dropped one place. But they've got 7 points closer to relegation.
Yeah, of course.
So they're still 5 points clear of staying up, obviously, which is a fair gap. But they were 12 points clear. And that's 4 games they have on the team below them. Yeah, but now they've only got 2 games. If they lose 2 and the team below them win 2, they're at the bottom. They're getting relegated.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But I obviously, yes, you've got to punish them. Fair enough. But I think of all the times they could have done that, I think now is the worst possible time the EFL could have taken action. You look at it. For one, no one knows what's going on. For 2, Macclesfield will be losing money because there's no football on.
Yeah.
And for just, the EFL get criticised enough for things like Bolton, Bury, Blackpool, all these clubs that they've punished.
I think going forward, there's a lot of teams. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but there's a lot of teams that are going to be struggling financially. But now, and the longer this goes on, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And I just hope that there is some sort of help in the community for some of these clubs, the smaller clubs that are going to maybe fall to the wayside, or could fall to the wayside if this was to carry on.
Yeah, obviously that's not brilliant if any clubs do fall to the wayside. We hope they don't. Obviously, Real have. We hope any other clubs don't.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, Atkinson said they might. We don't know what's going to happen with that. What are you stretching for?
Get that cat out of the way.
No, the cat's fine. Anyway, we'll get on to... Right, we'll get on to a more Prem speculation. Another thing we've just read, we don't know... Leave the cat alone. We don't know how true it is, but apparently the Prem clubs that are obviously safe or in the top whatever are threatening to vote, or are they going to vote to relegate the current bottom three if they block Project Restart, as it's called, to play all the rest of the games at neutral venues. So if that project gets put forward and the government goes, yeah, we'll play them at neutral venues, and the bottom three go, no, we're not doing that, we want to just end the season, then the other Prem teams that are safe have said, well, yeah, we'll vote to relegate them. What's your opinion on them doing that?
I mean, I think any consensus they have in the Premier League for anything, whether it's resuming matches, for whatever it is, there's going to be opposition,
uproar
from certain parties, no matter where they go. I think the biggest problem with the Premier League, as me and Blake have discussed before, is the money that's involved in it TV wise. So even if to null and void the season, all this money will have to be refunded. I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of pounds to BT Sport, Sky Sports, and that will affect clubs, certainly the smaller clubs.
Bournemouth,
Brighton,
especially Bournemouth.
There's quite a few of them. But,
Bournemouth don't get a lot of revenue from match games, do they? So you have to look at that.
The smaller clubs that don't have even not so much match day revenues, but like the commercial side of things, where like teams like Manchester United and Liverpool are massive all around the world.
Streaming sites and things like that they run.
But yeah, I think the season should be concluded at some point. Like
should be done fairly, anyway.
But it should be done fairly, and
they shouldn't just go, right, this is how we're doing it. Whether you like it or not, it should be done.
Obviously,
via like a 50 vote. Like if every club is kind of all right with it, that's what it should be.
I think if no matter what vote goes on towards the Premier, I think if 14 agree, it passes. But we'll see if that negates like legal action from certain clubs and things like that. I don't know, but
yeah, I
know that in terms of votes to things to go forward in the Premier League, 14 of the 20 have got to say, right, this is what we want, this is how we want to do it, and if they do get 14, then the motion passes.
Anyway, now we'll get on to some news. We're not sure the full details on this, but it's another thing I've read throughout the week on sports news, everything, is that an unnamed League 2 club has resumed their training. To this date, I don't know who it is. Don't think anyone knows who it is, but they've started their training again. Once again, not sure if it's 11 people or if it's 2. I don't know what they're doing. But I'm not sure if that could mean that a lot of teams are going to start and following on with this and create a trend of this happening, which could be a foreshadowing that the season will resume quite soon. Because what other reason would a League 2 club have to be coming back?
Very true.
They wouldn't be coming back to training if there's no football going to be happening, would they? What do you think of them coming back to training?
I don't think anyone can come back to training unless the government said it's safe to do so. So the clubs have got to be following government guidelines.
Well, yeah, but what I mean is, if they have gone back to training, which they have been clearly allowed to, what do you think that means for the future? Well, the government clearly said they're allowed to if they're going back, aren't they?
Well, they haven't.
Well, they've gone to training.
Well,
the government haven't just turned around and gone no, and they've all gone back to training, have they?
Well, I don't know the ins and outs, but I thought
there'll be social distancing, obviously.
Well, yeah. Well, some clubs have gone back to training, but on individual basis, Premier League clubs.
Yeah, what I mean, but they've gone back to training as in social distancing at their training ground, training properly.
Yeah, I don't know.
The cat's joined us. That's alright. We have a little guest, the cat. Hello.
Say hello.
Say hello to the camera. No, having none of it. But yeah. Anyway, we don't know what's going on with them. Leave the cat alone. He don't like cats.
Cats, dinner.
No, not dinner. Cats, pets, not dinner.
That's right.
Ignore him. He's trying to be funny.
Sorry, I'm trying to be funny.
But yeah, if they go back to training, until we know who it is and what they're doing and anything like that, we can't just say, boom, this is what's happened.
Yeah.
Because We don't know.
I think when we have this podcast next week, a week from today, we'll have a lot more. There'll be a lot more come out. Like if there's been guidance saying the Premier League can restart, X amount, EFL can restart, if training can restart.
Yeah.
And matches behind closed doors, possibly at the end of June. Then we'll have more.
It's
to
not
say.
just that as well that we'll have to say as well. We'll have the actual confirmed articles and the stuff we've said at the end of this video, like what's going to happen with Germany or things like that. We'll know because they would have confirmed it by then. At the minute, it's still speculation up in the air.
Yeah.
But we'll finish this video with a certain man called Carey. He moved from a club that wanted to be our rival, Plymouth. He moved to CSKA Sofia in Bulgaria. Yeah. Obviously Europa League. I think what's his name went there. Who scored in the Peterborough game again?
Ivan Toney was the other one.
No. The one that scored the goal that was disallowed. What's his name?
I don't know.
Solomon Ottobor. Him. He went somewhere like that.
He went.
Ottobor.
Sorry, for us you mean? Scored for us?
Yeah, not for them.
Oh, Ottobor, yeah.
They didn't have a disallowed goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ottobor, he's somewhere like that anyway.
Yeah, good for him. He wasn't really good for us.
He was an alright player, but Jacket used him wrong.
Yeah, alright.
But anyway, CSKA Sofia have said they're going to be releasing Carey because they can't afford wages, they need to get people off their books and things like this.
Yeah.
And the question was, earlier in the week, would you take Carey at Portsmouth? Because we're linked with him. I mean, we seem to get linked with any player under the sun that plays at League One level, but you know.
Yeah, but he's never played. He's Plymouth. They get relegated last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he scored that brilliant free kick against us.
So they were. Am I false in this? But they were in League One last year, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because that was your first game of the season at home when we beat them 3-0.
I don't think they were in League One last year.
Well, they were either in League One last year or the year before.
Well, the year before I think they were.
Because we played them at home and Curtis scored.
Yeah, so it wasn't last year they weren't in there. No, they weren't in there last year.
Yeah, it must have been.
Maybe they were.
No, because Curtis wasn't here
so
the season before last, was he?
We didn't know. I say, so Blake's right. We're getting
it wasn't last season. But anyway.
Yeah. But, so, is he a League One player?
I'd say he was.
League Two, though, to be fair.
He was very good.
He was very good.
But as well as that, you have to look at another player that played alongside him, Freddie Ladapo. He's a very good player. He plays at Rotherham now. I think he's their top scorer. Carey was better than him at Plymouth. So I'd take Carey.
Yeah.
Because he'd fill that number 10 role that who takes it at the minute. Obviously Evans plays there. Cannon, definitely my preferred choice, but he doesn't play at the minute.
Yeah,
so we have Evans, Cannon, Marquis, who shouldn't be playing there, but he does. And Pittman could play there. If we could add Carey to that, think of that player coming in. He's got a bit of skill, he's got a bit of flair, he's got a bit of knowledge.
Doubt about it. I think he was a good player.
Definitely bring him in. But obviously, there's loads of teams linking with him. He's definitely a player that loads of teams like to get in.
Yeah.
And apparently, what I've read, the front runners at the minute are Salford, who are, obviously we should be facing at Wembley.
Simple.
But the reason he'd be going there would be for one reason and one reason only.
Money.
There's no other reason you'd jump on Salford over Pompey.
Same as that other guy, wasn't it? Adam Rooney, weren't they?
Oh God, yeah, he went from Aberdeen there,
Aberdeen
didn't he?
in the Scottish Premier League to Salford. They weren't even in the Football League at the time, but he went there for money. They could offer him like.
He's left there now.
Has he?
Yeah, I don't know where he's gone, but he's left. Anyway, that's all we have to talk about this week. We should have more next week.
We're going to give a couple of shout outs. The people who keep coming on watching it and saying like, gives a shout out. Peter Walton.
Oh yeah, Peter, yeah.
Supreme boxer, extraordinaire. I'm giving you a shout out.
One fight, one loss.
One fight, one loss, but you're going to come back.
You're going to come back and you're going to be world champion, yeah.
Right.
Obviously, Pompey Sailor, he watches these well. He wants to come on one day.
Pompey Sailor. We're going to say massive shout out to my mum and dad, Blake's nan and Grandy.
Yeah, they're stuck at home.
They do watch these videos. They tend to,
stay quiet.
Or
anyone that's stuck at home at the minute, massive shout out to you. This cat's now.
Jordan Webb, stop getting banned from Facebook. It's not growing up, mate.
It's not growing up, yeah. Stop saying stuff.
Stop saying stuff and being silly.
And to anyone that's watching the videos and giving me support, thanks for it all. As well as that, like the video, subscribe.
The video.
How many likes can we get?
Up.
We didn't hit 30 last week.
People, you just got to watch these videos. I mean,
how many likes should we get?
Blake's reining me in massively, but I think we go for 25 likes this week.
25. We haven't hit 25. Ow.
Right.
Do you mind?
25 likes.
I'm getting clawed by a cat.
25 likes for the cat.
Yeah, 25 likes for the cat.
Yeah, but
if you get 25 likes, I'll prank him.
Yeah.
I'll prank him next week. If you get 25 likes, I'll prank him.
But yeah, I've done my shout outs. Oh, Matt Vaughan, cracking effort today, by the way. I've seen Walker.
And also, not just that, well done on your weight loss, mate.
Well done your weight loss.
We're proud of you.
Oh, Lewis. Louis Mellon, or Kushti, whatever you call yourself now. Proud of your
Your
son.
weight loss as well.
Weight
Fair
loss
play to you.
outstanding, mate.
And once again, we're going to end this video. Thanks to the NHS.
Thanks to the NHS.
And everyone, keep safe and at the Blues.
Up the Blues.